Hey, what's up? This is Joshua, daily video blog. Try number 2 after trying to wipe a spider off my phone, knocking the phone onto the ground, destroying the case, numerous other things. All right, so let's go to the beginning here. I'm going to start a new series today. It's about ideas, about coming up with ideas, mashing them together, turning them into other things. And the reason I'm doing this is, one, I'm teaching a workshop on this week, so I've been thinking about it a lot. And I think that, and I've been trying to figure out, there's all these methodologies for coming up with ideas. And the fact is that most people are aware that these things exist and they don't use them. And to some extent, that leads me to believe that they're probably super valuable for the people that do use them, but they're too rigid for most people. So what I want to get into is the idea of creating like an ecosystem that gives birth to ideas, that lets them live and multiply and all of that great stuff. And so the first thing I've been thinking about was not so much where do ideas come from, maybe, but looking at past students I've had. So I've been trying to think about, like, there's 8 years of teaching, and I always have students that struggle with coming up with ideas or struggle with articulating them. And I've been trying to think about, what do they have in common? What are the conversations that I've had again and again with students who seem unable to sort of come up with concepts and articulate them and turn them into things? And so I want to get into that. These are the sort of to-don'ts of idea making. And the first one is that these students, or people in general, usually do a combination of brainstorming, editing, and evaluation all at once. Those are distinct phases of coming up with ideas. Brainstorming should only involve evaluation if the idea you just came up with leads to more good ideas. Then you should follow those down the trail. Editing should come after brainstorming, perhaps even probably after evaluating. So you come up with a big list, you then evaluate things on that list, and based on those evaluations, you kill certain things. So what I notice oftentimes with students who have a hard time coming up with ideas is that they're doing all of that at once, and very often they're doing all of it before they've even written anything down. They have a resistance to writing down bad ideas. So if you turn that to don't into what to do, the very first thing is to start writing down bad ideas when you have ideas. I always have notes that I'm embarrassed by, but the reason that you need to write them down is akin to why you need to write down anything else you need to do. So let's say you have something you need to pick up at the grocery store. Your brain, typically, when does it remind you that you need to pick that thing up? Unless you walk by that exact thing in the store and see it, you won't remember you need it, or I find I don't. What ends up happening is I'm driving home from the grocery store, and then my brain goes, hey, you were supposed to buy vinegar. You should have bought vinegar. Why didn't you buy vinegar? Maybe it will do it on the way to the grocery store, but it will stop before I get to that point where I can buy it. It's not context aware. It's very useless in that regard. All it remembers is that I need vinegar for some reason. And it always reminds me at the wrong time. But if you notice, so let's say I'm supposed to go run errands on a Monday, and on a Sunday night, the vinegar idea pops in my head. I hop out of bed, I make a note somewhere where I will get it. Maybe I put it on an actual to-do list. Maybe I email it to myself, text it to myself, set an alarm on my phone so that at 5:30 I remember to go buy vinegar. Whatever it is, somehow I put it in a place that makes sense. All of a sudden, my brain goes, awesome, we don't need to think about that anymore. We can move on to bigger and better things. And now, I'm not thinking about that idea anymore. I can go to sleep, I can drive to work. Maybe I don't even have to think about it again until that alarm goes off, and I'm like, oh, cool. Got to stop off at Target to get vinegar. Maybe I set 3 alarms just to be safe, So your brain doesn't forget about the thing until you process it and deal with it in some way. So what I would say gonna switch hands here because mine's getting sore. Is that you have to you treat bad ideas the same way. When you're coming up with ideas for art or problem solving or some creative activity, the bad idea is always still there until you capture it. So I notice like well, I have good ideas sometimes, but I'll have an idea for some project. The easiest way to stop thinking about it is for me to write it down somewhere safe. So maybe I put it in a note in Evernote, or I put it in my notebook, or I write it in a list on my phone, but somehow I capture it. Once I capture it, I can move on. So if you're brainstorming and you're trying to ignore all the bad ideas, they're not going to go away. They're going to stay there. They're going to keep distracting you. They're going to keep encouraging you to think about them, and they're not going to go away until you take that actual moment to write down whatever stupid idea it is. The other thing is that you might think is a bad idea in the moment, but once you evaluate it, it actually could have possibilities or be a fantastic idea. I always joke that if I'm in class and I'm trying to do some sort of brainstorming exercise and I try to come up with the stupidest, dumbest comment possible or concept possible, once I say it, it's always sort of awesome. So there's a real lesson there, which is that that it's a bad idea to be editing as you're evaluating. Capture everything. And then if some idea is so bad it makes you cringe, cool, cross it out. But in the beginning, you want to capture everything, every idea. You need to have bad ideas to have good ideas, just like you need to make bad art to make good art. You need to have a shitty day of working to learn from. And who knows, you could run into a weird thing where, because you're constantly capturing these seemingly bad ideas that you wouldn't normally go through with, you could actually get yourself to a new place by embracing those bad ideas. So this is the idea making series number 1. First assignment: when you're brainstorming, capture everything. Obvious, not obvious, good, bad, smart, dumb, all that shit. All right, thanks for watching.